I still remember the first time I met Emily. It was at a company gala, the kind where suits and smiles are mandatory.
Nice.
She walked in like she owned the room, but not in an arrogant way, more like she was the sun, and everyone else was just orbiting. I told myself I wouldn't be impressed, but I was. "You're David, right? I've heard about your latest project," she said, her voice smooth, confident. "Yes, that's me," I said, extending my hand. "And you are?" "Emily. Emily. Harper, CEO's new strategic consultant." Her handshake was firm, her eyes sharp. She studied me for a moment, like weighing whether I was worth her attention. "You've done well," she said, a smile tugging at her lips. "I like ambition." I laughed, a little nervously. "Ambition's all I have sometimes. You'll need more than that to survive here," she teased. From that moment, I was hooked. She had this way of making every conversation feel personal, as if I was the only person in the room. We talked about work, life, and dreams until the gala ended. By the time we left, I was already imagining a future with her. A few months later, we were inseparable. "David, do you really need to stay late again tonight?" Emily asked, frowning as I gathered my laptop. "It's a big project, Emily. I want to make sure everything's perfect." I explained. "Perfect," she repeated, almost like tasting the word. "I just don't want you buried in work while I'm here thinking you're avoiding me." I smiled at her, trying to hide the slight pang in my chest. "You know I'd never avoid you. I know, just don't make me jealous, okay?" she said, half smiling, half serious. I laughed it off. But a little voice in my head whispered, "Why would she worry about jealousy so soon?" I shook it off. Love, I told myself. Love conquers all. At dinner with friends a week later, couldn't stop gushing about us. "You two are perfect together," Mark said, raising his glass. "Seriously, power couple status achieved." I looked at Emily, who smirked knowingly. "We try," she said, her voice light. "But there was an edge I didn't quite catch, David." "You've got a genius for a wife," Mark added. "She keeps me on my toes," I replied. Emily leaned closer, brushing her hand lightly against mine. "Keep you sharp, don't I?" she whispered. And I felt a thrill. That thrill never quite left. She knew exactly how to make me feel, admired, respected, even loved. But she also had this quiet competitiveness that surfaced at odd moments. "Why did you approve that budget without consulting me?" she asked one evening, glancing over my shoulder at the spreadsheet. "I thought it made sense for the team," I said calmly. "Thought," she repeated, her eyes narrowing. "I like being part of the decisions too, David." I nodded, sensing her subtle control. "Of course, Emily, I just assumed." "You assumed too much," she interrupted, but the tone was teasing almost. Playful. Still, I felt it, a flicker of tension I couldn't ignore. Then there were the small things. The way she would question my friends or subtly redirect conversations when I talked about work achievements. She was brilliant and I admired her for it, but I began noticing patterns. "Do you really need to meet Mark after work?" she asked one night, tucking her hair behind her ear. "I've known him forever. He's a friend," I said, confused. "No, I just don't like feeling left out," she murmured. I forced a smile. "You're never left out, Emily, I promise." Her lips curved into a small, satisfied smile, and I felt relief. But still, part of me couldn't shake the unease. Best friend warning came in a casual coffee chat one afternoon. "Dave, I'm just saying. Emily's smart, ambitious, and she's got a streak of control." "Watch for it," Mark said, stirring. "His coffee? I see it sometimes," I admitted. "But she's amazing. I can handle it. Just make sure it doesn't handle you," he said, eyes serious. I laughed it off, though Mark's words lingered longer than I wanted. That was the illusion. Perfection on the outside, subtle tension underneath. I convinced myself I could navigate it. After all, love was supposed to feel thrilling, complicated, and slightly dangerous, wasn't it? And Emily, she was everything I had ever wanted. Beautiful, smart, ambitious, and intoxicating. I just didn't know yet how dangerous that charm could become. Asterisk. I thought I knew Emily. I thought I understood her. But lately I was starting to question everything. David, are you seriously going to approve that client proposal without consulting me? Emily asked one morning, leaning against the edge of my desk. Her tone was light, almost playful, but I felt the sting beneath it. I already reviewed it. It makes sense for the team, I replied calmly. Sense? She echoed, raising an eyebrow. You mean you didn't bother asking me for my opinion? Classic. I thought you trusted me to handle this. I do, she said, flashing that smile that could melt steel. But trusting you doesn't mean I like being ignored. I nodded, feeling a flicker of guilt I didn't want to feel. Later that day, my phone buzzed. It was Mark, one of the partners. Hey, did you hear the rumor about your presentation this morning? He asked, voice tight. What rumor? I frowned. Apparently the clients thought your figures were off. They were confused because someone on your team, Emily's assistant, I think, kept sending contradictory numbers. I froze. What? Are you serious? Yeah, don't take it personally, but it made you look bad. I ended the call, my hands trembling. Emily appeared at my office door moments later. David, are you upset? She asked, tilting her head. You knew about this? I snapped, my voice sharper than I wanted. I knew the assistant might mix things up, she admitted. But it wasn't intentional. Everyone makes mistakes, David. Why are you letting this stress you out? I'm not stressed, I muttered, but my chest felt heavy. It's embarrassing. I understand, she said softly, stepping closer. But don't you see? I've always got your back, even when others don't. I wanted to believe. Her? I really did. A part of me knew something was off. That night I sat at my desk, journal open. I wrote, why do I feel like she's playing a game I don't fully understand? Am I imagining it? Emily appeared behind me. Writing again? She asked. Just trying to clear my head, I replied, not looking up. You know, David, sometimes talking to me is better than writing, she said, resting her hand on my shoulder. I can help you sort through your feelings. I wanted to tell her how uneasy I felt, how I suspected her of manipulating the assistant. But her calm voice and warm touch made me pause. Thanks, Emily. I appreciate that, I said, closing my journal. You're welcome. You don't have to carry everything alone, she said, smiling. 2 days later, I tried to meet Mark for lunch. Emily called as I was leaving. Where are you going? She asked, feigning casual concern. Lunch with Mark, I replied. Oh, I just thought we could have lunch together. You always seem so busy with work and friends. I miss you, she said softly. Okay, maybe we can reschedule, I stammered, guilt gnawing at me. Her sigh was gentle. Thanks, David, I just don't like feeling left out. I hung up, my chest tight. Was I really neglecting her, or was she isolating me? I couldn't tell anymore. At work the next morning, the rival colleague Jason approached me. David. Word on the floor is Emily's influencing decisions behind the scenes, he said, smirking. I'd double-check your reports if I were you. What are you talking about? I asked, uneasy. Let's just say your assistant has been guided to create confusion, he said. I'd hate to see you embarrassed in front of the board. I felt my stomach twist. Could Emily really be doing this? But when I confronted her that evening, she smiled like nothing was wrong. David, you look upset. What's wrong? She asked, leaning against the doorframe. I heard from Jason about the reports. Were you involved? I asked, voice tense. Of course not, she said, feigning innocence. You're letting rumors get to you. Why would I sabotage you? That makes no sense. Doesn't feel right, Emily. You're tired. Stressed? You're imagining problems where none exist? She interrupted gently, her hand brushing mine. I'm on your side, always. Her charm was infuriating and effective. I wanted to scream, to shake her, but all I could do was nod, feeling the confusion settle heavier. That night, I wrote again in my journal. I'm losing myself. I can't tell what's real anymore. Am I the fool, or is she? I realized then that love could be intoxicating and blinding, and Emily was proving that in ways I didn't want to admit. Her laughter echoed in my mind as I scribbled the words. Oh, I can't let her break me, but maybe I already am. I thought I was prepared for anything, Nothing could have readied me for the truth I discovered that night. "David, can you talk?" Mark's voice was tight, almost nervous, over the phone. "What's wrong?" I asked, feeling a knot form. "In my chest. It's Emily. I saw something." "You need to know," he said quickly. I frowned. "Saw what?" He hesitated. I saw her leaving a hotel. With Donovan. The business rival you've mentioned before." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean, leaving a hotel?" "She was with him, David. Together. I'm sorry. I didn't want to tell you this way, but you deserve to know." I dropped the phone, my hands trembling. I couldn't breathe. Donovan. The guy who had tried to sabotage me at work, the one I hated. Emily. My Emily. I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I paced the apartment, chest tight, mind racing. No, this can't be real. I must be imagining it. When she finally arrived home, I was waiting. My voice was raw, barely controlled. "Emily, what the hell is going on?" I demanded, trying to keep my composure. "David, calm down," she said, tilting her head, her voice smooth. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play innocent with me," I shouted. "Mark told me everything. The hotel. Donovan. You." Her expression shifted to something almost casual, almost bored. "Oh, that is not that, Emily. You've been cheating on me?" I felt like I was going to collapse. My chest burned. My hands shook. "I think you're misunderstanding, David," she said, stepping closer, her tone icy but measured. "Donovan isn't, well, he's complicated." "Complicated? You've been sleeping with him?" Was that complicated? My voice cracked, echoing against the walls. "It's not what you think," she said, her lips curving into a faint smile. "You've been so focused on work, so distant. I was lonely. I needed attention, and you weren't giving it. You pushed me away." I laughed bitterly, a harsh, empty sound. "You think this makes it okay? You think I'm supposed to feel guilty because I work hard?" "I'm just being honest," she said, shrugging as if honesty excused betrayal. "Honest? Honest is telling me you love me, not throwing yourself into another man's arms," I yelled. My vision blurred with fury and hurt. "David, don't make this about me alone," she said softly, suddenly turning the blame back on me. "I was lonely because you've been distant. You created this space. You didn't notice, didn't care. I'm not a child to be ignored." I could barely speak. You're blaming me for your affair?" "I'm saying there are two sides," she replied, calm, measured, chilling. "You don't see your part. It's your problem." I slammed my hands on the table, chest heaving. "Emily, this isn't a conversation. This is betrayal. You've destroyed everything." "I'm not destroying anything," she said, her voice icy but collected. "You built your world around work. I was part of it, till I wasn't. I did what I needed to survive." "Survive? You call cheating survival?" I shouted, stepping back. "Do you have any idea what this feels like? To know the person you love? To trust with everything? Can just throw it all away?" Her gaze was sharp, cold, like she was studying me, calculating my reaction. "I told you, I was lonely. I did what I did. If you can't accept that, then maybe you're holding on to an illusion, David." "I don't want illusions," I yelled, voice breaking. I wanted us. I wanted love. I wanted trust. You've ruined everything." She crossed her arms, shrugging lightly. "Maybe you were too busy to notice, David. Maybe this is just reality." I turned and ran from the room, unable to bear looking at her. I grabbed my coat and left the apartment without thinking where I was going. The city's streets were dark, quiet except for the distant hum of traffic. I walked aimlessly, chest tight, heart pounding, mind spinning. Every thought hurt. Every memory of her twisted into betrayal. How could she? I thought, gripping my head. We had everything. I thought we did. I found a bench in a small park, the cold biting through my coat. I sat, hands trembling, trying to hold back tears I refused to shed in public. My journal came to mind, but I didn't have it with me. I whispered into the night. Words meant only for me. I trusted her. I gave her everything, and she threw it away. I remembered Mark's warning, my parents' voices in my head telling me to be careful, and now it made sense. How had I been so blind? Emily had been charming, manipulative, controlling all along, and I had fallen for every smile, every word, every gentle touch. I took out my phone and called my sister. "David?" Her voice warm, concerned. "Emily. She's been seeing Donovan," I said, voice shaking. "Oh, David." She whispered, "I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you." I didn't want to believe it, I admitted, tears threatening to fall. I can't believe she did this. How could she?" "Breathe, David," she said softly. "Can get through this. You're strong. Don't let her destroy you." "I don't know if I can," I whispered. Everything feels like it's falling apart." "You will," she said firmly. "I'll help you. Just don't make any decisions tonight. Let yourself feel it, but don't let anger control you." I hung up and looked up at the empty sky. It felt like the world had collapsed, and I was the only one left standing amid the ruins. Every laugh, every kiss, every promise, twisted into lies and betrayal. I didn't know how I would recover. I didn't know if I could ever forgive, ever trust again. But one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same. I didn't know how I was going to face my family. My hands were shaking as I walked into the living room, Emily at my side. She looked calm, too calm, as if nothing had happened. My parents sat on the sofa, stern expressions on their faces. "David, sit down," my father said, his voice low but firm. "We need to talk." I swallowed hard. "Okay." I glanced at Emily. Her hand found mine, squeezing it lightly. I felt a flicker of something hope, maybe, but I pushed it away. "Emily," my mother began, her eyes sharp. "We know everything." Emily's smile didn't falter. "Everything? What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb," my father said. "We know about Donovan. We know you've betrayed David." Emily's hand slipped from mine, and she tilted her head, the smile fading slightly. "Betrayed? That's a strong word. I didn't plan this." "Yeah. You didn't plan this?" I snapped, unable to contain my anger. "You've destroyed everything we had. You've destroyed me." "David, calm down," Emily said, her voice silky. "You're overreacting. It's not like I wanted to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me." I laughed bitterly. "Do you have any idea what this feels like?" My mother leaned forward. "Emily, you need to understand the gravity of what you've done. Marriage isn't a game. You've manipulated him, lied to him, and hurt him deeply." Emily crossed, her arms, her posture defensive. "I didn't manipulate anyone. I made a choice that was necessary. Necessary." My father's voice rose. "Necessary to cheat? Necessary to humiliate your husband?" "I was lonely," she said softly, almost pleading. "David was always working. You barely noticed me anymore. I needed someone. Attention, care. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I've always noticed you," I shouted. "I've always tried. You think I ignored you on purpose? You've taken my trust and thrown it away?" Lips trembled, but she lifted her chin. "Maybe you don't understand what I needed. Maybe you were too blind to see me. You don't get to blame me for your choices," my mother said firmly. "David's been nothing but devoted. You had a marriage, a life, and you threw it away for selfish reasons." Emily's eyes flicked to me, as if trying to find support. I couldn't give her any. My heart ached, torn between the love I had and the fury boiling inside me. "My parents are right, Emily," I said quietly, though my voice shook. "I loved you. I still want us, but I can't ignore this. I can't pretend it didn't happen." "You still want us?" she asked, her voice softening, even after everything. Didn't answer. I just looked at her, seeing, for the first time, the cracks in her perfect facade. She was scared now. Her confidence was faltering under my parents' gaze. "Here's what's going to happen," my father said. "Emily, you have a choice. You can either honor this marriage, commit fully to David, and prove you're trustworthy, or you leave. That's it." Emily's face paled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. You have until tomorrow, my mother added. We're not letting this slide. You need to take responsibility for your actions. I felt my chest tighten. Part of me wanted to grab her, beg her to stay. Another part of me wanted to let her go, to let her face the consequences of her betrayal, and the conflict inside me was suffocating. I don't know what to say, Emily finally whispered, her voice shaky. Say nothing, my father said firmly. Actions speak louder than words. A sister, who had been silent until now, reached out and touched my shoulder. David, whatever happens, we're here for you. Don't let her manipulate you. You deserve better, I nodded, grateful for the support. Thanks. I just don't know if I can ever trust her again. Trust has to be earned, Emily, my mother said, her voice icy, not demanded. You've lost that privilege for now. Emily's eyes darted between us, then finally settled on me. For the first time, I saw fear there, the realization that her games weren't working anymore. I need time, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You've had plenty of time. I said, my voice trembling with anger and heartbreak. Now it's time for you to make a choice. She looked at me, tears welling up, but I didn't move. I didn't reach for her. I realized in that moment that love alone couldn't fix this. Actions mattered. Truth mattered. Trust mattered. She had broken all three. The room fell silent. Emily's beauty, her charm, all the things that had drawn me to her, didn't feel the same anymore. I saw the woman she really was for the first time, and it hurt. I couldn't speak anymore. I just sat there, heart pounding, watching her try to compose herself under the weight of my family's judgment and my own shattered trust. The ultimatum hung in the air, heavy, inescapable, and I knew this was the moment that would define everything, what kind of marriage we would have, if any, and whether the love I still felt could survive the betrayal. The next morning, tension hung in the air like a storm about to break. Emily paced the living room, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood. I sat in silence, watching her unravel. For the first time, her confidence seemed fragile, her charm failing under the weight of consequences. I just need a little more time, she said, stopping mid-step. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying her panic. Time? I asked, my voice calm but firm. Emily, you've had plenty of time. You don't get to stall now. She flinched, glancing at my parents who sat on the sofa, expressions stern. David, please, you don't understand. It's complicated. Complicated, I repeated, finally standing. My legs didn't shake. My hands didn't tremble. The first time in weeks, I felt in control. Emily, this isn't a game. You've already lost control over me the moment you chose Donovan over me. You don't get to manipulate me anymore. Her eyes widened, panic flashing through them. I didn't. I wasn't thinking, you weren't thinking. I cut in, stepping closer. You weren't thinking when you betrayed my trust, betrayed our marriage, and humiliated me in front of everyone I care about? Her words faltered. She glanced at my mother, at my father, then at my siblings. The bravado that had once defined her was crumbling. You need to decide, my father said, voice low but firm. Do you honor this marriage, or leave? No excuses. No delays. Emily's hands flew to her face, then dropped as she paced again. I love you, David, she whispered, voice unsteady. I do, but it's not just that. Donovan. It's complicated. Just that, I asked sharply. Emily, do you think I care about complications when you've been sleeping with him behind my back? She flinched at my words, but tried to regain composure. David, please, you have to see this from my perspective. You work so much, you barely notice me. You don't understand how it feels. I do understand, I interrupted, my voice steady now. I notice you. I notice your flaws, your manipulations, everything. But I also notice that I will not let you control me, not anymore. The games are over. Her face paled. She stopped pacing and looked at me, searching for a reaction. She didn't find fear. She didn't find hesitation. She found clarity, decisiveness, a part of me that had been buried under weeks of confusion. And heartbreak. "You can't just decide for me," she said, her voice quivering. "You can't tell me what to do with my life? You've made your choice for weeks, Emily. I'm just giving you the last chance to face reality," I said, my tone unwavering. "Either you honor this marriage and prove it, or you walk out the door and face the consequences. That's it." Tears welled up in her eyes. "David, please. I can change. I can fix this." "Fix this?" I asked, disbelief and anger mixed with a strange calm. "You can't fix betrayal, Emily. You can't fix lies. You can only face them.
Wow.
And I won't let you manipulate me to feel guilty for what you did." She stumbled back a step, her voice dropping to a whisper. You don't love me anymore." "I do," I said softly, letting my heart speak. "But love doesn't mean I'll accept being humiliated. Love doesn't mean I'll let someone treat me like a fool." "You've taken what you wanted, Emily, and now it's time to live with the choice you made." Her lips trembled. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I could see the panic, the fear, the realization that her power over me was slipping. The control she had wielded so subtly, so dangerously, was gone. I can't," she finally whispered, tears streaming. I need time." "No," I said firmly. "You've had all the time you're going to get. This is it. Decide." My mother stepped forward. "Emily, look at him. Look at the man you betrayed. Can you truly say you deserve to be here with him? Can you look him in the eye and choose him over Donovan?" Emily shook her head violently. I don't know." "You don't know?" I asked, my voice cutting through the room. "Then you've already made your choice. You've chosen the affair over us. You've chosen dishonesty over love. And now you'll face the consequences." She sank into a chair, covering her face. The Emily I knew, arrogant, controlling, charming, was gone. What remained was fear, regret, and the realization that the illusion of control had crumbled. Exhaled slowly, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Strength, power, clarity. For the first time since discovering her betrayal, I felt like I could breathe. Like I had reclaimed a piece of myself that she had tried to steal. I looked around at my family, their expressions a mix of pride and concern. "She's going to have to face this on her own," I said quietly. "I've said what I needed to. Say the rest is up to her." Emily's sobs filled the room. I didn't move closer. I didn't try to comfort her. The surge of control, of assertiveness, was intoxicating. I could think of life after her, a life where I could rebuild, reclaim, even seek revenge if I wanted. And as I watched her for the first time show real vulnerability, I knew this was the turning point. She had underestimated me. She had miscalculated, and now I was finally in command of my life. I woke up that morning feeling different, lighter, sharper, like a fog had lifted. Emily's betrayal still stung, but anger had transformed into focus. I wasn't going to let her games define me anymore. Today, I would start reclaiming my life. I called my mentor, Mr. Harris, and arranged a meeting at my office. When he arrived, he looked at me and raised an eyebrow. "David, you sound determined." "I am," I said, slamming my notebook on the desk. "Emily's sabotage ends now. I need a strategy to protect myself and expose her manipulations to the board." He nodded, leaning back. "Good. First, gather evidence. Emails, reports, witness statements, showing she's undermining your authority. Second, rally your loyal colleagues. You can't do this alone." "I've already started documenting everything," I said, "and I've spoken to some of the team. They're ready to support me." "Perfect," he said. "Confidence, clarity, and proof. That's how you win. No emotional decisions, just facts. Then you let the board handle the consequences." I felt a surge of determination. I can do this. I won't let her win anymore. Later, I called A small meeting with my loyal colleagues. Sarah, Tom, and Michael were the first to arrive. Their expressions were cautious but hopeful. "David, are you sure about this?" Sarah asked. "I am," I replied. "Emily's been manipulating reports, undermining projects, and trying to make me look incompetent. We have proof now. We need to present it strategically to the board." Tom smirked. "Finally, I was waiting for this day. She's been pushing everyone around, thinking she's untouchable." "She underestimated you," Michael said. "Now it's time to show everyone your side." I felt a small smile. Exactly. We'll handle this professionally. Calmly, no overreactions, just the facts, the evidence, and the truth. The rest of the week was intense. I worked late, double-checking every report, confirming timelines, and gathering corroborating emails. Emily tried to intervene, sending messages and even appearing at my office. But I refused to engage emotionally. "David, we need to talk," she said one afternoon, leaning against the door frame. "Not now, Emily," I replied, keeping my focus. "On the documents before me, you're making a mistake," she said, her tone dangerously calm. "I can fix this. We can fix us." I looked up at her, my voice steady. "Can't fix what you broke, Emily. I'm not letting you manipulate me again. You've had your chances." Her eyes flicked to my mentor, who had joined me for a strategy session. "You can't exclude me from this, David. I built part of this company." I closed the folder and leaned back. "You tried to destroy part of this company to make yourself look powerful. That's not building, Emily. That's sabotage." She faltered, her voice dropping. I didn't think you'd fight back." "Your mistake," I said, feeling a thrill of control. I fight for what's mine. And that includes my life, my career, and my dignity." By the time the board meeting arrived, I had everything ready. The room was tense, Emily sitting confidently on one side, me on the other. I presented the evidence clearly, methodically, letting the facts speak louder than any emotions. "David, are you accusing Emily of misconduct?" one board member asked. "Yes," I replied calmly. "She has manipulated reports, undermined projects, and attempted to tarnish my professional reputation. Here is the documentation and witness testimony." Emily opened her mouth to argue, but the evidence was overwhelming. Her face paled as I spoke, each word stripping away the power she thought she had. "Are you sure about these claims?" another member asked. "Yes," I said. "I've verified everything personally. I have no intention of letting personal betrayal affect professional integrity. This is about accountability." The board deliberated, and within hours, the decision was made. Emily's influence in the company was formally limited. She could no longer interfere with projects or reports under my supervision. The relief I felt was immense, tempered by lingering sadness. After the meeting, Sarah came up to me. "David, you handled that perfectly. Professional, strong, didn't let her pull you down." "I learned from my mistakes," I said quietly. "And I've learned that trust has to be earned, not demanded." Tom clapped me on the back. "You're back, man. Stronger than ever." I smiled faintly, but my thoughts were elsewhere. I've reclaimed control, but can I ever trust again? The question lingered like a shadow. Later, Emily approached me, her expression desperate. "David, please, we can talk. We can fix things. I've heard enough," I said firmly. "This isn't about us anymore. You've had your chance. Now it's about moving forward me. Moving forward. I won't let betrayal control my life." Her lips trembled, tears forming. I felt a pang of sadness, but it was tempered by the surge of empowerment. For the first time in months, I felt fully in command of my life. As I left the office that evening, I looked out at the city skyline. The lights shimmered like possibilities. I had rebuilt my professional kingdom. I had reclaimed my power. While the wounds from Emily's betrayal still throbbed, I knew I was stronger, smarter, and ready for whatever came next. No more illusions, no more manipulation. This was my life, my rules, my comeback, and I wasn't stopping for anyone. I watched Emily pace the living room, her phone clutched like a lifeline. She had called Donovan for the third time that morning, her voice trembling, each word desperate and pleading. "David, he won't answer," she muttered, throwing the phone onto the couch. "Why isn't he answering?" I thought he cared. I sat across from her, calm, composed. The rage that had consumed me weeks ago had shifted into quiet satisfaction. "Maybe he realized what you are," I said softly. Her eyes snapped to mine, wild and frantic. "What do you mean, Donovan loves me? He can't just leave." I shook my head slowly. "Love? No, Emily. He used you. Just like everyone else will if you keep pushing people away with lies and manipulation. Karma doesn't forget." Her face paled. "Karma. Don't talk to me like that, David. I can fix this. I'll fix this." "You can't fix betrayal, Emily," I said firmly. "You've burned every bridge. Donovan is gone. The board doesn't trust you. Your colleagues don't respect you. You had power here, and you squandered it. All of it." She sank into a chair, hands over her face. "David, please. You can't just watch me suffer. We can work this out. I can change." I leaned back, letting my words carry the weight they needed. "Change isn't enough, Emily. You want forgiveness, but you haven't earned it. You want my trust, but you've thrown it away. I can't give what you've destroyed." Her voice broke as she whispered, I don't know what to do. Everyone's against me. I can't survive this." I felt a strange calm watching her unravel. The fear, the panic, the desperation, these were the consequences she had refused to face when she chose Donovan over me. "You'll survive," I said quietly, "but not like before. You'll have to live with the choices you made, alone, without anyone propping you up or covering for you." She shook her head violently. "No, David, please, don't make it this way. I love you. You love me?" I asked, my tone steady, almost gentle. "Love isn't words, Emily. It's loyalty. It's trust. You've shown neither. Your love doesn't matter anymore." The room fell silent except for her quiet sobs. I glanced at my sister and my parents, who were quietly observing. They had watched me crumble and rebuild, and now they nodded at me with approval. "David, you've grown," my mother whispered. "You're stronger than we ever imagined." I allowed myself a small smile, though my chest still ached. I've learned," I said quietly. "Just about fighting back. It's about knowing when to let go and when to stand firm. And I stand firm now." Emily raised her head, eyes glistening with tears, panic still evident. "David, you can't do this. Can't just abandon me." "I'm not abandoning you," I said, voice calm. "I'm letting reality do what I could and show you the consequences of your actions. You made your bed, Emily. Now lie in it." Her panic turned to anger, and she shouted, "You think you're so clever? You think this is over?" You can't manipulate me anymore," I interrupted, cutting her off. "Your power over me is gone. You tried, Emily, but I saw through it all. Yeah. Every word, every move, every attempt to control me, anticipated it. Failed." She froze, realization dawning. You knew?" "I knew," I said simply. "I trusted my instincts. I trusted my mind. I trusted the people who actually mattered. You underestimated every single one of us." Tears streamed down her face, and I felt a pang of sadness, not for her, but for what I had lost. I had loved someone who didn't deserve it, who turned deceit into art. But there was no going back now. The wound was deep, but it was mine, and I would heal on my own terms. "David, please, one last chance. I'll do anything. Anything." Her voice was raw, pleading, desperation sharp in every syllable. I shook my head slowly. "No, Emily, I'm done. I won't be part of your lies anymore. This is the end for us, for you, and for your control over me. You have one life to fix. Yourself, but I am no longer a part of it." She slumped back in the chair, defeated, utterly broken. The Emily I once knew, the confident, charming manipulator, was gone. What remained was fear, regret, and a desperate realization that the world she had tried to control had turned against her. I looked around at my family, seeing pride and relief in their faces. "I'm finally free," I said quietly to myself. Free from betrayal, free from manipulation, and ready to rebuild on my own terms. The silence stretched, heavy but satisfying. I felt justice not cruelly imposed, but naturally earned. Emily's panic, Donovan's abandonment, her ruined reputation, this was karma. And I had watched it unfold without bitterness, only with clarity. I stood, taking a deep breath, feeling strength surge through me. I had survived betrayal. I had reclaimed my power. And though the scars remained, I knew I would never allow anyone to manipulate me like that again. Even as Emily's sobs filled the room, I felt calm. I had faced the storm, survived, and come out stronger. When for the first time in months, I saw the future clearly, not with Emily, not with lies, but with me, in control, unshakable, and ready for whatever came next. CHP.8, the apartment felt quieter than it had in months. No frantic calls, no whispered manipulations, no Emily pacing like a caged animal, just silence on for the first time. It felt like peace. I poured myself a cup of coffee and sank into the chair by the window, letting the city lights calm my racing thoughts. "Looking reflective again, David?" a cheerful voice said. I turned to see Ava leaning against the doorframe, holding her own cup. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Just thinking about her," she asked gently. I shook my head. "No, about me. About everything that's happened. Betrayal, heartbreak, figuring out how to trust myself again." Ava smiled softly. "You've come a long way. I've been watching. You're not the same man who let someone else control his life." I chuckled. I still feel the scars, though. It's like a map of mistakes and lessons etched into my chest. "Scars remind you where you've been," she said, sitting across from me. "They don't define where you're going." I nodded slowly. "I think I'm finally ready to move forward." A knock at the door made me glance up. My mentor, Mr. Harris, stepped in, a small grin on his face. "David, you're glowing. Or is that just the city lights reflecting off your newfound wisdom?" "Maybe a little of both," I replied. "It feels different now, like I finally own my life again." He leaned against the wall. "You do. You reclaimed your career, your dignity, and your power. Now it's time to focus on your future, not the ghosts of the past." "I know," I said, looking out at the skyline. "I've realized something important. Trust is earned. Loyalty is rare, and love. Real love doesn't destroy you, it lifts you." "Exactly," Ava said. "And sometimes it's not about finding love immediately. It's about finding yourself first." I smiled at her. "You're right." But I added a teasing glint. "In my eyes, sometimes life gives you a little surprise when you least expect it." Ava raised an eyebrow. "Oh, and what kind of surprise might that be?" "Someone I can trust," I said softly, watching her reaction. "Someone who's honest, who challenges me, and who doesn't play games. That's the kind of person I want in my life." Her cheeks flushed slightly, and I laughed. "Relax. I'm not proposing marriage yet, but I am open to something real, something lasting. No manipulation, no betrayal, just honesty." Ava smiled, reaching over to touch my hand. "I think that's a start." The phone rang, breaking. The moment I picked it up, it was my father. "David, your mother and I just wanted to say we're proud of you. You handled everything with integrity and strength. You've grown so much." "Thanks, Dad," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "It wasn't easy, but I think I finally understand what matters. Family, loyalty, and your own peace," he said. "And you've earned that peace. Don't let anyone take it from you again." "I won't," I promised. After hanging up, I leaned back, reflecting on the past months. Emily's departure, Donovan's abandonment, the board meeting, the emotional roller coaster, it had been brutal. But I survived. I rebuilt. I learned to trust my instincts, to assert my boundaries, and to value myself more than anyone else's approval. A knock at the door startled me again. This time it was Sarah and Tom dropping by to celebrate my small victories. David, no dramatic speeches today? Sarah teased. Not today, I said, smiling. But I will say, this have never felt more alive or in control. And I think I finally understand what strength really means. Tom clapped me on the back. Good to hear. You've earned it, man. You faced betrayal, humiliation, and still came out on top. That's not something everyone can do. I nodded. It wasn't just me. My family, my mentor, my colleagues, they all helped. I couldn't have done this alone. But at the end of the day, I had to choose myself. That's the lesson I won't forget. As the evening settled in, I walked to my office balcony. The city stretched out endlessly before me, lights twinkling like stars, traffic humming softly below. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool wind brush my face. Freedom feels strange, I whispered to myself, but good, strong, real. Stepped up beside me. It's the calm after the storm, David. You earned it. I did, I said, letting my gaze drift over the skyline. And I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm living. Fully, honestly, without illusions. No more Emily. No more games. Just me, my choices, and the people who truly matter. Smiled, leaning slightly on my shoulder. Here's to new beginnings. I nodded, feeling a weight lift off my chest. 2 new beginnings, I repeated.